What is going on, guys? Politics Gaming here. Today I am going to be doing a little bit of a live stream today. Basically, we are going to be looking over a couple of big things that have been happening over the past couple of days, including some new news out of the 2018 elections. We are also going to be analyzing the Brazilian elections, along with my friend and fellow YouTuber Gabe Vogel. He's actually one who does make a lot of interesting economic analysis of the game, and me and him actually do cooperate on that a lot to actually help players and new players try to understand the economics of the game and how the economy actually works. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce him real quick. I'm going to go ahead and unmute myself and unmute him. So, what is going on, Gabe? I'm actually live now, so.
Oh, I see.
Hell yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Need to make sure, like, my game isn't too loud.
The audio on my Cities Skylines game is not, like, playing for you guys, is it?
No, I can't hear anything.
They can't, because, like, music and background effects are loud.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go ahead and start playing as Brazil, since we're going to be talking about Brazil for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Brazil's is broken in this game. Like, Brazil growth, whatever you do, explodes in the second to third year of the game.
The seventh what?
Brazil in Power Revolution is a broken...
Well, you said the growth, like, explodes, and I was asking at what time.
About the second to third year of the game. Like, you can...
Do you have the 2018 edition?
Trying to control... Yes, 2018 edition. You can control with the interest rates or just raising taxes. But eventually, for some reason, your growth starts to pick up really, really fast. And suddenly you have 6% plus growth. Especially if you start investing in your live... Sorry, my brother just entered the room. Yeah, so...
Well, Brazil's economic situation is weird. It's like...
Yeah, because technically we're supposed to still be in crisis when you start the game.
Well, I mean, I would sort of declare it an economic crisis because, I mean, debt reimbursement is like the third largest expense for Brazil in the game.
Yeah, but if you clear out in the first few months, it stops being a problem.
Well, instead of I mean, we can talk about the economy in a second. So
the game doesn't reflect the current political situation in Brazil. Like, all the parties are wrong.
Are they?
If the game really was really going to show how Brazil's Congress was at the start, there would be much more parties in the game, like about 3 socialist parties, 5 right-wing parties, etc. Because there are several parties in Brazil, but in fact I believe that they got Australia right, because Australia has also several parties, but more on the right wing. Brazil has several centrist and left-wing parties.
Yeah, but I mean, instead of having just this massive because I actually saw the results from the Brazilian election, and instead of just like making it something where it's just like, you know, there's just like one party for every few seats, like I mean, that would be confusing. You wouldn't be able to pass anything in the game because there's so many different ideologies that you're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be it
You gotta
would
be
it would sort of
prepared for that.
reflect like the unstable political situation, but at the same time, for gameplay's sake, it would make sense. I mean, like a lot of the conservative parties like formed up the United Republic movement, so I mean, like it would just make sense to actually just have the
Yeah,
actual composition of what they have right now.
yeah, yeah. There's a. It's pretty much like Venezuela. In the game, Venezuela's situation is spot
Venezuela
on.
is a lost cause.
Yeah, it's a lost cause in real life and in the game, but uh, the game doesn't give you enough options to handle Venezuela, especially because you can't start a new currency to stop the bleeding from the inflation. And this was what I saw on Vine Sauce, not on Vine Sauce. Actually, it was Visual Politics. It's a channel that I follow. Uh, they said that China currently holds the most debt in Venezuela right now. So technically, Venezuela is pretty much owned by China, especially because they're giving their the
How
guarantee.
much of Brazil's debt is owned by China?
Most of Brazil's current debt is internal. We have very few external debt actually, but I'm not sure if my information is correct as of now because last time I checked was during the Dilma presidency, where we still have much of our where much of our problems was due to internal debt. And seriously, there were a lot of politicians and parties that were like, "Oh yeah, we should not pay our debt at all because of the people who hold debt are actually rich, so they won't lose much." I'm like, "Are you nuts?"
So, getting on to the
They,
discussion that I was actually wanting to get into earlier. So, since
yeah.
you are Brazilian and since you actually did vote yesterday, how did that election go and what is your analysis honestly on how the results came out with I forgot his name, it's like blah.
Yeah,
Um
Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro, like he actually won with he actually almost won outright.
Yeah, in order to talk about Brazilian elections, you're gonna have to talk about the last 10 or so years because it's a situation that has been piling up. It's not something that happened from this year to now. Uh, in the 90s, there was a lot of inflation due to high government spending, especially by the states. And about 1994, President Itamar Franco from the Partido Movimento Democrático Brasileiro, Brazil's democratic movement. It was the Democratic Party from the era of the dictatorship that then went on to be an actual political party later on. That is a big centrist party, and their political and economic ideology change with the times.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a fixed ideology. They're basically just a party that embraces democracy, if that makes sense. But that that is actually very very vague. Uh, all right, so moving on. And there were several people involved, and one of with the Plano Real plan, and one of them was Fernando Henrique Cardoso from the Social Democratic Party (PSDB), which is more center left than Social Democratic. Uh, and then in the next election, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, which I'm gonna short to FHC, won the elections with the PSDB, and he started on a more liberal platform. He started to privatize state industries, open up the markets a little bit, but not at the level that it should be. And And then syndicalist leader from the steel industry, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, which, if you follow the news, has recently been arrested for receiving an apartment and several kickbacks. It's a much more complicated story.
Who was that again?
We would have to make an entire live stream about car wash because it's.
Oh yeah, Operation Car Wash. Which I mean, actually, speaking of that, I actually did watch like an entire thing. I don't usually like John Oliver. I do think he's funny sometimes, but he did have a very interesting segment, and I actually watched it a couple of minutes ago. Whenever I actually turned his show on. Yeah, and he had the whole segment about Bolsonaro and Operation Car Wash and stuff like that.
Actually, both his Operation Car Wash and Bolsonaro, he was surprisingly spot on. I was expecting him to say a lot of shit, or even try to, how can I say, pat down the situation, or say something that is a rumor or not really a real thing. But I really like that he actually showed Bolsonaro's live interviews, so he can show to people, look, this is a literal cartoon villain that they're trying to put on the seat of a Brazilian presidency right now, and this is not nice. This is not nice at all. And anyway, where was I in the story? Yeah, so Lula was elected, and there was a lot of people were concerned, especially because it was the first time a left-wing leader was in power.
Yeah.
But actually, he was pretty centrist and followed the center-left policies of the former government a bit more. But still, he did some shady things behind people's backs, and a lot of people obviously got mad by it. And meanwhile, Brazil's social situation, especially due to years of military dictatorship and the economic fallout that comes with it.
Now, in any case, I honestly think that Geraldo Wolverine is actually the right choice. You just like that's what Brazil needs. Y'all need Geraldo Wolverine.
We need a Wolverine, yeah.
What was his name?
I'm going to fast forward because I can see you're actually bored.
No, I'm not bored. I'm not bored. I was just I really wanted to make a comment about it.
Yeah, you just interrupted me. And yeah, then was Dilma Rousseff, which was Lula's pick for the presidency. And she wasn't a very good president because she started to do a lot of government spending. She actually...
That was the previous president that was impeached, right?
Yeah. And then there was the 2014 elections. 2014? Wow, that was a long time ago. No, 2014, no, the 2016 elections. And from PSDB's candidate, Aécio Neves, by a very thin margin. And of course, people got mad. They started to say that it was a rigged vote and etc. Well, it can be, but it also can be not. And it was pretty much established that Dilma's government wasn't going to last 6 months because the economy was already starting to scream, and her Minister of Finance from her first term, Mr. Guido Mantega, his idea to kickstart the economy was to inject public money directly into the economy. In other words, print money. And of course, that brought inflation to double digits during her second term, when all of the printed money started to flow through the economy, and since her whole economic team was of protectionists and of developmentalists, the crisis started, and she tried to put a liberal from the Chicago school into her government to fix the economic problems, but he wasn't popular with her own cabinet and with the people, so he got kicked out by her. And shortly after, uh, she rigged the budget in order to spend more, and they used that to get her impeached. But that wasn't the main motive. The main motive was that it was revealed in the car wash operations that she knew of the whole scheme. She was. It was impossible for her not to know, because she was presiding the Ministry of Oil and the Energy and Mines at the time. So technically, she would know of the whole scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And then her vice president pick from the PMDB party, uh, Mitchell Tamer, who looks like a lot of people are already tired to say that he looks like a vampire. He took office, and he picked an excellent economy minister, which is Mr. Mireles, who's already famous, quote unquote famous, for being the only foreign president of the Bank of Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the president of the Bank of Boston for a few times, and then he went back to Brazil. And he started to put forward a lot of the fixes for the economy that were very unpopular, as privatizations and tightening the budget, government cuts, and also labor reform that was quite controversial, because because Brazil is much like France and Italy. It has a very robust labor, very robust labor laws, and they liberalized the labor laws a bit, and that got a lot of people pissed, especially in the working class. So people started to look at the Workers' Party good again, because of the popularity of those policies. And it's because of that they're the second most voted party, and also the fact that they played the cards that President Lula is being quote unquote chased by the powers that be, as how can I say it, as an election strategy on election campaign.
Yeah.
And it actually worked pretty well.
Now,
meanwhile, on the other side, you have Bolsonaro, who's already a very famous congressman from the Chamber of Deputies. For the very reasons that John Oliver had stated, he's brash. He's his former military.
The bill has
military pensions. He always voted in favor of military pensions and such. But I can safely tell you, as someone that comes from his state, he did shit regarding Rio de Janeiro's security. Was like,
you're in Rio?
Yeah, he barks more than he does. That's the best way that I can put it. Because Rio is like, one side is a city, the other side, there's the other side of Rio, which is pretty much a sub-Saharan African nation. There's a lot of inequality, and that and that's not just from the military dictatorship, but it's also historical because of the times of slavery during the imperial era.
All right,
And
so
it actually concerns me because Rio is a beautiful city, but it's the crime that kills it. The people are nice when they're in a good mood.
mhm.
Like, never piss off a person from Rio. Seriously.
So one of the things was actually like there was actually like a couple of questions I was gonna ask you since you are Brazilian, and that's mostly why I
Yeah,
actually held off on like not even um, live streaming the Brazilian results because I really wanted to get someone who did vote and stuff. Like you voted, right?
yeah. I voted for João Moedo, who was the candidate for the Novo Party, which in English is the New Party,
Wait, which one?
and his João Amoedo.
Uh
His
oh
party number is 30.
oh
He's
yeah
the
I see
Orange
him.
Party. Yeah, he was a candidate who
He got two
pretty
and a half
much
percent of the
knew.
vote.
Yeah, I was
Ouch.
one of those people who voted for him,
Damn.
and he had presented a much more liberal platform on both. He was far more centrist, and his campaign was focused on changing the politics in Brasilia and having more governmental responsibility, more transparency, uh, and a free market economy.
Mhm. So,
A
are
transition
you
from
are you actually going to vote in the second round?
yes, for voting is mandatory in Brazil. You do know that,
Is
right?
it?
It is. Voting is mandatory in Brazil. If you don't vote, you have to pay a fine.
Well, I mean, I looked at it. It said that the turnout for the first round of election results was 79.77%.
Yeah, you can still abstain your vote, but you still have to go there, or you have to pay the fine and write a note on why you didn't vote.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes people are sick at the day, or they got into an accident, and so they have. And the fine is not high; it's like $2.
That's stupid, though. Honestly, like I don't get why like you would force people to vote. I mean, that's actually a lot of things that I actually hear about in the United States and stuff like that because there's a lot of young people who actually are basically kind of treading along the lines of basically saying that we should have mandatory voting because
No,
they're
no,
actually wanting to
you don't want to have mandatory voting
yeah, because
because
well
it doesn't work.
like
It doesn't
some of the
work at all.
talking points that I actually see is a lot of the times is they actually like in the state of Oregon they actually have automatic voter registration. So people who do not, who are not signed up to vote, they are automatically enrolled as soon as they turn the age of 18 or something like that, and are automatically like put in to vote. But have heard a couple of talking points and basically saying like we should institute like mandatory voting so we can get everyone to vote because
Well,
supposedly now it's actually, and I actually made a video about this last night about why I feel like it's a bad idea to basically like tell people that they need to vote, and whenever they do tell them to vote, they basically are really biased in their reasoning for why they want them to vote.
yeah, my problem with mandatory voting is that if you make voting mandatory, especially with that system of automatic, uh, you said there was a system in Oregon that
In
people
the state of
will be
Oregon, it
automatically
is
enrolled.
yeah, like as soon as they turn like an age.
Yeah, that can be used to like fake uh, to fraud elections because sometimes a person would not know that she's enrolled someone will vote on their behalf. That
Mm-hmm.
that 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 is not a good idea. And the problem with mandatory elections is that here in Brazil, uh, during the first years of the republic down in the 1900s, you had a thing called voto de cabresto, which
And not of
the
a
owners
what?
of the big lands uh, it was a leash vote, like a leash, like in a dog leash.
Mm-hmm.
It's a leash vote, where the big farm owners would gather the people from the village and tell them to vote for their candidate. And the people aren't represented at all because they're being pretty much being threatened to vote for this guy. And this still happens in Brazil, and especially in cities like Rio, which have zones that are controlled by uh, drug smugglers and the militias. So you have like schools where people go to vote, and instead of the person going to vote, a member of the militia takes their voting registration card and votes for them in behalf of a candidate that is aligned with the militias.
God,
Like
I'm
this is a
I'm
real thing.
honestly like, I, sometimes I just feel like I'm glad I don't live in certain countries, especially countries like Brazil, because Brazil honestly looks like it's just going down a hellhole. Like
Yeah,
it's just like it's weird because honestly, you just hear a lot of this stuff about what's going on in Brazil, and I mean they just have like you want to talk about rampant corruption, like you have to look at the government of Brazil.
yeah. I would say that African countries are actually worse than
Oh
Brazil
yeah,
because it's
of
far more
course they're worse
blatant.
than
And
Brazil.
yeah, and they don't have the legal frameworks that we have here. In fact, I'm glad that we have legal frameworks that are putting the corruption that has happening in our governments in light. And and yeah, if you're American, please don't go ahead with that idea of voter registration because far more trouble than it's worth.
Let me
If you want to
actually
vote, you
let me
vote
actually look that
based
up
on
real
your
quick.
beliefs, on your morals, and on policies that you stand for. And you make sure that you're not being biased by the by news or by someone else. Actually, study of the policies that you're going to vote for. Like, really, go ahead, read the laws, read the rules of the land. Don't vote based on what someone said on your messaging on a message board.
Okay, so
Like Brazil has this problem. People believe in literally everything they get via WhatsApp.
I actually looked it up. There are actually 14 states in the United States as of August 15th, 2018. There are 14 states, including the District of Columbia, or 14 states and the District of Columbia, the federal district of the United States that have already enacted automatic voter registration. The first states to actually enact it were California and Oregon, and Alaska became the first state to enact an automatic voter registration policy via ballot measure. But the states that have actually implemented it are California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Colorado, Illinois, Georgia, West Virginia, Maryland, the District of Columbia,
West Virginia, country
Mountain
home,
Mama,
take
Country
me
Home,
home.
Take Me Home, Maryland, District of Columbia, West Virginia, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont. Backstar's like copyright. Um, but it's not
It's
something that
not
I would really
copyrighted if
support.
it's not
Huh?
sung by me. It's not copyright if it's sung by me with my
Right?
terrible voice.
I literally started singing it the other day whenever I was playing My Summer Car.
Yeah, you should play My Summer Car, but you should like sing your own radio station.
Well, yeah, I've actually
Like
already
get in
done
the
all
car
that.
and start going like.
Um, I'm actually gonna go ahead and add a backstar into the call if you wanted to. I'm gonna live stream probably for another 15 minutes. I'm actually gonna go ahead and head out, but I'm gonna go ahead and add backstar into the call so he can go ahead and put in his 2 cents, and then we're actually I think we're gonna, since backstar is gonna get into the call, I'm actually gonna move on to the next topic of discussion, which would actually have to be the 2018 elections. So I'm actually gonna add him real quick. Where is he? Oh, there's my boy. Who's there?
Hello.
My
What is
dudes.
it? What's going on with them? Let me tell you something. That's why you gotta have voter ID, y'all, to eliminate all that voter fraud crap going on down there in Rio with them drug lords.
Wait, so you
See,
actually support voter ID
No,
laws?
that's actually what.
hell yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
support.
you do
Look, let
present
me
your
tell you something. Let me tell you
Baxter. Wait,
something.
you do have
No,
to
no,
present your
no. Let me tell
ID
you
when you
something.
go to vote, when you get a
Let
vote.
me tell you
So
something.
when a
In the
person's
state of
voting
North,
you at gunpoint, you will vote for
in the,
what the person's telling you to do.
in the state of North Carolina, uh, there is actually a ballot measure relating voter ID, whether or not to make it a law again. It was a law, but it was struck down. I believe. I don't want to. I don't want to say the U.S. Supreme Court, but the law was struck down.
What was it
But
struck,
now
or what was the law called?
it was our voter ID law. It was all over that. It was national news. This is
Hang on,
this
let me
is
look.
before 2016 election. But yeah, the voter ID law was struck down. I don't understand why. Because let me tell you something.
It
When
was
you go
struck
to the
down by the
bank,
Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has once
that's
again declined to reinstate North Carolina's strict voter ID law, which was struck down last year after a court ruled it was intentionally designed to stop African Americans from voting. The
see, that's
nation's
what I'm talking about. Look, if you got when you go to the bank and open a bank account, you gotta have ID. When
See,
you go
that's
to the
what I don't
store,
fucking get. That's what pisses me off about a lot of the things that you hear about like
and see black
people
folk,
saying
and
that like
see
voter ID
black
laws are
people.
racist.
Listen,
It's basically the
listen.
only racist. Okay,
These,
not really racist. Hang on, just give me a second. Like the only thing that it is supposed to stop is illegals from voting. It is supposed to stop
no,
illegals from voting, but
it's
African Americans
supposed
and
to.
stuff like that, I think that is the
It's
worst
supposed.
fucking shit that I have ever heard.
It's supposed to stop. Is really the point of voter ID is to eliminate any sort of loophole for people committing voter fraud. That's the main point of voter ID. Just like when you go to the bank and you want to open a bank account or you want to take or you want to do something with your bank account, you got to present ID. Okay, we need to verify who the fuck you is. Okay, and see, these same black folk down there protesting in Raleigh, talking about some, this is racist. They got a driver's license. They got state ID. What they?
I'd literally go and survey all of the black people and just see how many of them have a voter ID.
You know what? I'm like, hold on. Okay, pull out your wallet or your wherever you keep your stuff, and let me see your voter. Let me see your driver's license. Pulls out the driver's license. This is your voter ID right here. You fool. You stupid.
Like,
Like that's see. I don't understand. Then okay, then you got them people. What's his name? Al Sharpton.
no boy.
Sit up here want to flap his gun. I can't stand that. I almost call him the N word. I can't stand that boy. He get up here, him and his little what's his little network called? Action
MSNBC.
Network. No. He got his own network.
Oh, he does?
National Action Network. Yeah, he got his own network. Him and Jesse, I don't know if Jesse Jackson on there, but his ass down here too, flapping his gun, talking about, y'all need to keep on protesting. this is discrimination against black people. And I'm like, look, the same black people down there holding the signs up got a damn driver's license. What are you doing? But anyway, I think the Democrats are going to win the House.
Oh
Joe
God.
Manchin little ass gonna get voted out in West Virginia. Because the Democrats ain't gonna support him.
It's highly unlikely that Joe Manchin will lose his election.
Well, I don't
because
support
he
Joe Manchin.
he voted for Kavanaugh.
Heidi Heitkamp ain't vote for Kavanaugh, and she
and look at the poll numbers for her. She's going to lose her election in a landslide.
Screw the freaking polls. Screw the my man Beto. I seen him on MSNBC earlier. On Chris Matthews. Y'all need to go watch my man Chris Matthews. He's the only smart guy on there on MSNBC that I like, and is not a fool. He was on there. Ted Cruz. I don't understand how y'all deal with him down there in Texas. I don't get it.
Like, it's just
explain that.
I don't know. I think it's a complicated scenario in my opinion, because I mean you have a lot of people that are just I can't even explain it honestly.
Look, there's a lot of people. Ted Cruz is annoying. His own party does not like him.
No, literally all of the party likes him. He's one of the top Republicans in the Senate right now.
Listen, the Senate Republic. How many Republicans in the Senate endorsed Ted Cruz when he ran for president?
What do you mean? Senate Republicans?
How many? Yes, Senate Republicans. The people he works with.
I'm not familiar because I didn't really look into it.
You know, because Congress doesn't work but 2 days a week. So the 2 days that Congress work, I don't remember any Senate Republicans endorsing Ted Cruz. And here's the thing: how can his
Ted Cruz is out?
Ted Cruz is gonna lose down there in Texas.
He's not gonna lose in Texas because his poll numbers are actually back up.
Screw the poll. I'm about to look it up right now.
There's actually on Real Clear Politics, Texas is leaning red again. So in Real Clear Politics right now, the Republicans have 49 states that are leaning in there, or 49
Real Clear
seats.
Politics. But see, the thing about Real Clear, the last poll was sometime in September. So, with that being said, there was a poll that I seen from like CBS that had Beto like up 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
So poll, okay, there's something on the hill. Holds a 5-point lead over. Why can't? When's the third debate?
The third debate is on the 16th.
So, was that Tuesday? Yeah. So, if Beto does not completely demolish, and I mean demolish to the point where Ted Cruz does...
The Ant is basically, just told me, he said, use 538, Real Clear Politics is biased.
Oh, hell. They all biased. All 538.
They all use the same exact thing. They use compilation of polls.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an average. I don't read the crap they got on there. I read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. But if Beto does not completely demolish Cruz in the
I don't think it's good. Oh, no. Oh, man, I fell asleep. Damn.
I mean, huh?
No, I'm playing my summer car.
Okay, if you look at 2012, right? Obama versus Romney. Obama got demolished in the first debate. Okay? Demolished. I don't know if you've seen it. Okay? Romney had his little jump in the polls, blah, 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 you know. Obama came back, crushed him in the second debate, crushed him in the third debate, and he won. If Beto does not demolish Cruz, then there's no way for him to win.
Mm-hmm.
So, then we got the situation up in West Virginia. I won't Joe mention. He's gonna lose.
How
Tell you
can you
that
say
right now.
that though?
Because the party ain't gonna support him. Look at what he just did. If them whips tell you to vote no, you vote no.
I'm predicting that Heidi Heitkamp will definitely lose her race.
No.
Joe Manchin is going to win his because of his vote for Kavanaugh.
What
So,
about Donnelly and Tester?
huh? Donnelly?
Hold on, right quick.
Oh my God! Come on. Is Gabe Vogel even here?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay, you're just there.
Yeah, I don't even know much about
American
what's going on in
politics.
Congress.
So what about my man up there in Indiana and Montana? John Tester and Joe Donnelly. They gonna win their seats, right?
All right, sorry about that. Well, there's actually a question by Ant. I actually meant to answer this earlier. You don't need to know a lot about cars. I actually don't know like anything about cars, but this game has actually taught me a lot about cars, a lot about car parts and engines and stuff like that. It's actually really interesting, and I really recommend buying it. And I actually enjoy it. That's actually why I've been playing it a little bit more than Power and Revolution as of late.
Yeah, it's becoming from politics gaming to car gaming.
Yeah, literally.
How much the game?
Next thing you know, you're gonna start doing Forza live streams.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing what?
Forza. I don't know how to speak.
Yeah, the racing. How much this game cost?
I think it's like 15 or 16.
Too much.
But yeah, I mean, I like it. It's so fun and it's just hilarious. Like I can flip people off and call them a pussy.
Yeah, that's a good way to get demonetized.
Go to pussy, please.
Y'all want to see me go blind?
Is this the demonetized stream or something? PG.
What?
Is this the demonetized stream?
What's the demonetized screen?
Stream, like you over here saying curse words and all that.
That oil car over there and see it explode.
No, it's not demonetized. Actually, I think I'm monetizing it. Oh, apparently I'm not. Completely forgot to do that.
Does that mean I can cuss?
Well, I mean, I actually have viewers in this, so I mean, most of the time it's just people thinking I'm boring. Which, I mean, that's basically my channel in its entirety.
Let me just say this.
I mean, last time, I had a stream. I mean, I was cussing a lot. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think people who tell you, oh yeah, they're listening, like they can tell when you cuss or something like that. Because I remember Tripster telling me that.
Who is they?
YouTube. Tripster told me that there was like some algorithm where they listen to you and stuff like that, and they know when you cuss and they demonetize you and stuff like that. But I literally had a cussing fest on one of my videos, and it didn't get demonetized though.
Is that one where you get super pissed at the game at Power Revolution?
Like,
and you posted a montage of it, like drunk PG playing.
I need to make another one of those videos. That was the
So
funniest one I've ever done.
I love how you just thrust yourself into the windshield to close the like the windshield's not even there. It's made of paper.
I know. So I'm telling you, this is literally like why this game is like
Wait,
top
are you drinking
top end.
Tabasco sauce?
Yes.
The beer looks a lot like Tabasco sauce.
Oh shit. Damn it. Come on.
Don't drink and drive.
Oh yeah, you're about to see me drink and drive. Oh man, I can barely even try. Ah, come on.
Can I just say that we got a legitimate situation in the state of North Carolina,
No one cares.
and you know what that is? We got too many fucking Republicans. It's a damn shame.
My car keeps on stalling.
Because you suck at driving.
That's because I didn't warm the car up.
What does warming the car have to do? Okay.
This game is really weird. It's literally like life simulator.
Oh, I don't play games like
Oh yeah. Like I actually just completely forgot about it. But what do you guys think about the resignation of Nikki Haley?
Fuck that bitch. Next.
Not much.
I mean, what? I mean,
I know she was. I know she was like an ambassador that was doing a lot of Syria and etc. But
I really liked her because she basically told off a lot of the world.
Oh hell! I mean, what did she do that's so good up there in New York? Nothing.
I mean, she did. There were moments where she was literally basically like a lot of the world basically. I mean, it's literally like the moments where you like the world, like the UN General Assembly laughed at Donald Trump for like some stupid reason, and
because he got up here and said that he basically did more in his 2 years as president than any other president that the U.S. ever had. I'm
he was bragging
his...
out loud at the UN, which is
he was bragging because I'm like, dude, you passed the only major thing you accomplished in your 2 years as president.
He's gotten a lot accomplished.
He's the only thing that he's accomplished in his legislative agenda is tax reform.
Tax reform. He withdrew from the TPP on his first day, by the way. He withdrew from the Paris Climate Accords.
Okay,
he withdrew from... He
wants us to join the TPP back.
What's your source? What's your source?
I don't remember the exact news, but it was all over the media like a couple months ago. This is back in like February, March. He wanted it came out. He said, "Oh, we made a mistake. Let's rejoin the TPP." Look it up. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, like if you're the one making the claim, then like you need to show me where you're getting this claim from. I shouldn't be the one to look it up, you know.
Look, the only thing, in my opinion, that's major, I mean, with the TPP, yeah, but his main thing that he campaigned, repealing it, here it is right here, New York Times. Trump proposes rejoining Trans-Pacific Partnership. He wants to rejoin the partnership.
I'll look into it. He's also accomplished several other feats, including he got the NATO members to pay up. He got the United Nations to finally get off their asses and finally do something. He is also he's
the UN to do what? What did he want the UN to do? Exactly.
Like for one, pay more membership dues. That's one of the reasons he That was one of his main talking points about
Okay.
the UN and NATO.
Do you understand that we get a lot of stuff from Europe, and in return from that stuff we get from Europe, cars.
Another thing is actually what is it? NAFTA. It's gone. It's completely scrapped. There's a new deal coming in. The United States, Mexico, and Canada have finally agreed to one.
This has not been approved yet. It has to go through the Senate for it to be approved. So we're still in NAFTA. Wait.
Well, no, I'm saying that there's a new deal that's been like made. I think it still needs to be approved by the appropriate legislatures, but at the same time,
Senate.
no, I think it has to go through both houses of Congress.
Nope, it's a
treaties.
Treaties go through the Senate. Yeah.
Wait, so
this is
I thought treaties like went through the House of Representatives as well.
Treaties is only going through the Senate.
Is that on the Constitution?
Yeah, that's on the Constitution.
What article?
I don't remember what article.
I'm just asking.
It's probably Article 2. I don't remember.
I'll look it up in a second. I'm driving in my summer car right now, but I'm like trying to get somewhere.
The president, in my opinion, did not accomplish that much. I can't even spell treaty.
Treaty.
Look, I'm a part of the North Carolina education system. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a part of the Texas education system, and I know how to spell treaty. Treaties have to go through both House and Senate, LOL. That's what the ant said. Yeah, I mean, I think they have to go through both houses of Congress.
I'm looking at it. Well, this child, what the fuck? Well, U.S. Senate. The Constitution provides the president shall have the power by and with advice of the Senate to make treaties, provide 2/3 of the Senate president concur. The Senate approves or rejects a resolution relating.
Let me look it up.
Treaty. If the resolution passes in the
U.S. legislature and treaties.
It's the Senate. The Senate approves or rejects a treaty. I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Treaty clause. Okay. So, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution empowers the President to propose and chiefly negotiate agreements between the United States and other countries, which, upon receiving the advice and consent of a 2/3 supermajority vote of the United States Senate, becomes binding with the force of federal law. So yeah, it is the Senate.
I know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
sometimes you don't.
Yeah, okay. But look, the president, in my opinion, if we want to compare this time in the previous administration, in my opinion, President Trump did accomplish a lot of big things. He got tax reform passed.
Which tax reform is a huge thing. Even if that would be the only thing that he would have gotten accomplished, that is a major feat.
But see, I don't understand why he got up in the UN and said, "Oh, I accomplished more in my 2 years than any other president has."
And another thing, he's forgetting
the fact that FDR got us out of the Great Depression. Clinton.
I'm going to literally debate you on that, and I really, really want to, but this is not a debate live stream, and I swear to God, if you bring that up again, I will debate you.
Debate what? Who?
About the argument of whether FDR got us out of the Great Depression.
Okay.
Because I honestly believe he didn't.
Well.
Yeah,
you have a laissez-faire. You have a laissez-faire approach to economics, which is what got us into the Great Depression. But anyway, if you look at what the previous presidents prior have done, Obama, the economy.
What did Obama get done in his first 2 years?
Obamacare, stimulus package, the auto bailout, the Wall Street bailout, Dodd-Frank,
Okay,
President Trump, TPP, reconstruction of NAFTA, tariffs on China,
mm-hmm.
trade.
But
NAFTA.
what we're
Did I say?
talking about is actually election promises. These are a lot of the things that Trump has actually gotten done. You may not agree with it, but he is
But
getting his election promises
I
passed.
understand that. But to sit up here and say that within the first in his 2 years that he's been president, not even the full term, if it, the two half of one term, to get up in front of the whole world and say, I accomplished more than any president in the past has accomplished in my 2 years as president. That doesn't even make sense. That's why they laughed at him, because he's stupid. He sounded stupid in front of the whole world.
And actually,
This
you
is
don't.
exactly what I
You're a
said
world
was
leader.
going to happen when he got up in the White House. He's going to say something stupid in front of the world, and they're going to laugh at him. That's what happened in the UN. Okay.
Yeah, and also you don't go out and just as a world leader and brag out about your own policies to the rest of the world. It, it, just like
I mean,
actually
that's basically all you can really do with the United Nations, because the United Nations doesn't do anything. The United Nations is the most useless international organization in the world.
Well, if
No,
it's
it is.
not the UN Security Council, then yeah, the UNGA is useless.
Yeah,
Even
especially the United Nations General Assembly, they are
what's the
very,
point?
very
Like,
useless. Like, what do they
what do
do?
they
They don't
vote
do
on?
anything.
I mean, if you're
They're
not, I mean, here's
supposed
the
to
thing.
vote on
This is the
like
way I see it.
peacekeeping missions and stuff like that, but
Security Council.
no, like
If your country is not a temporary member or a permanent member of the Security Council,
you
there's
have
no
no
point in
power.
being in the UN. There's no point in being in the UN. I mean, what's the point? That's what I
Like,
don't get.
I think it's just garbage, and like, I mean, all those countries laughing at him, like, I think that it's hilarious because those countries are laughing at him, but those countries have absolutely no power in the world, and they don't have any power in the United Nations General Assembly.
It doesn't matter. Okay, but we have the leader, the quote unquote leader of the free world, embarrassing himself, embarrassing the United States in front of the whole world. The first 3 months, no, what, 4 months of his presidency, he went to the NATO summit and pushed the Prime Minister of Montenegro. Then he goes to France and he's just an embarrassment, for God's sake. When he went to Singapore, to meet with Little Kim, he did good. I'll give him that. He did good. But any other time he goes out, meeting with foreign leaders, he just embarrassing. He just the stuff he does is just stupid.
Like what?
He got up here and said, "Oh, France should leave the EU." Then he got up here and is talking about Trudeau. I'm like, what are you doing? These are our allies. We rely on Canada.
Like,
we rely on France.
What?
Like, what are we doing here?
I don't get that problem though. I don't get the problem of whenever people literally say, like, oh yeah, well, like, he's saying like, oh yeah, like, well, this person should win, and like, the whole thing. I don't get that because there's so many countries that literally get involved in so many other elections. President Obama, actually got involved in several elections and stuff like. Oh no, you made a comment about like someone about Trump, like
because they asked him to do it.
I made a comment saying that President Trump. I made a comment saying that President Trump literally called Trudeau on the phone, and Trudeau was talking to him. I don't quite remember what they were talking about. And all of a sudden, Trump's like, "Oh, you should leave the EU." And then when he's talking to Canada, our trading partner, our ally,
my favorite one. Oh, sorry, go on.
I mean, he's just sitting up here talking about, "Oh, Trudeau, you don't know what you're doing about it." I'm like, why are you talking to these people? What are you doing?
In all honesty, I think it's really, really satisfying to see Trudeau get like cucked out by Donald Trump, because it's hilarious, because Trudeau literally is an embarrassment to Canada. He is one of the biggest embarrassments of a leader.
He's an I'm not gonna look. As much as I don't agree with Trudeau, if I was president of the United States, I wouldn't disrespect him. Just like I wouldn't disrespect
And
Putin,
like no one else disrespects us. We've been
also,
being disrespected for a long time.
Let's talk.
It's one of the reasons.
Iran.
Oh my God! There's a truck coming.
Let's talk about Iran. This first off, this looks like Roblox too, but this. Let's talk about Iran. We were in the Iran nuclear deal. Emphasis on deal. We said, okay, Iran, we're going to unfreeze, because that's the money that we gave back to them. We're not sending them our U.S. dollars. We're unfreezing their assets.
I will have to disagree with that, but go on.
We said, okay, we're going to unfreeze your assets in the U.S., send them back over there. If you stop your program, which they did, you cannot have uranium-238, which they got rid of. I mean, we had the UN inspectors and everybody and the mama down there looking at the shit. Okay, and then we'll take the tariffs off. We took the tariffs off and all that. The deal was working fine. Trump gets in office. Oh, Obama's name's on it. I'm going to tear it in half. That's exactly what I mean. There was nothing wrong with the deal. There was nothing wrong with the Iran nuclear deal. Iran was keeping up their end of the bargain. We kept up our end of the bargain. Everybody was happy. What's the point? What do you think about that?
I think that the Iran nuclear deal was a bad deal for the United States, because, in all honesty, like you made a point about they can't have like a certain uranium, stuff like that, and I mean, yeah, 238, but they still have access to 235.
Which is, you can't use 235.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. 235 was used in the Little Boy.
Okay.
Whenever the Little Boy was produced, we had over 90% of the world's uranium-235. And the Little Boy used uranium-235 in its fission core to set off the nuclear reaction that destroyed Hiroshima and killed 70,000 people. Yeah, and plus, Jay Moose actually just pointed this out. Iran is still able to make medium and long range ballistic missiles.
But are they nuclear? Can you put a?
No, but they can be used to. They can be used. Any kind of ballistic missile can be fitted with a nuclear warhead.
But the deal was they was not allowed to produce nuclear weapons.
And how can we know for sure they're not doing it? Because there was a clause in the deal that basically said they can inspect their own weapons program themselves.
First off, first off, we had UN inspectors. There was independent UN inspectors down there inspecting everything Iran was doing. Now, this clause, I don't remember. I'll go read up the Iran.
And how often has the United Nations stopped something bad from happening whenever it's already happening? The United Nations has continued to fail the world time after time after time again. They have failed to prevent genocide, as they were created to do, to prevent another thing like the Holocaust from happening. They haven't even prevented it, but they have allowed it. Yugoslavia, whenever the Serbians were genociding the Bosnians in the 90s, during the Yugoslav wars, during the breakup of Yugoslavia, the Rwandan genocide, The Sudanese civil war that is happening as of right now, since 2011, there is a massive genocide going on in Sudan, and millions are dead. Millions are dead. And they do
Okay.
not do a single thing. Because even, and this is one of the, this is also another thing why I
Okay,
think
what is
President,
the
hang on, hang
what?
on,
Okay,
hang on, let me
what?
finish. I'm
What
about
is
to
the
finish. I'm
what?
about to finish. Like,
Finish.
this is another thing that President Obama failed as a foreign policy president, is that he pushed so fucking hard for the independence of South Sudan, and as soon, like France, the United States, all those countries, as soon as South Sudan gained its independence, they stopped giving a shit about them. They just did not give a shit about them. And as soon as they got their independence, it was just like, all right, go. Which I'm not saying that we needed to be involved in our politics, but like the whole country just turned into this like clusterfuck of cultural genocide, and like there's a whole backstory to it and stuff like that, but I can't really do it because I'm about to close up this live stream. But it's hypocritical because it's just to say like all these UN inspectors are supposed to do something. It's a complete lie. The UN inspectors are not going to do anything because the United Nations is useless. As of right now, it either needs to be reformed or it needs to be disbanded.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned all of these stuff. You know, the Bosnian genocides, Rwanda genocide. The only way to stop stuff like this from happening is more likely direct military intervention.
And who would be committing to those military interventions? The United Nations?
Nobody. I mean, look, the stuff you're talking about, it has to go. It goes. I mean, like I said before, I agree. The UNGA is useless, but most of the stuff goes through the Security Council. So if you got, well, how many is it? Was it 5 permanent members of the Security Council? I mean, you gotta understand that there's only so much the UN can do. Because
Yeah, but what do they ever do?
if you have like if you like for example the Iraq War. The Iraq War almost, well, it could have never happened. But the the resolution relating invasion of Iraq was almost vetoed by France. Okay, there's only so
I'm
much you
surprised
can
the
do with the
Chinese and the
UN.
Russians didn't even veto it.
They didn't give a fuck about Iraq. But anyway, if you have
What the
one of
hell?
these permanent one of these permanent members of the Security Council say, "Oh, I don't like this," and veto it, and the whole thing is just the whole resolution is vetoed automatically. So there's only so much you could do because you gotta number one cater Russia, China, the UK, France. Okay, I mean, what do you expect?
Also, it also really does not make sense to give like all these countries veto power, but then like if one of them votes against it, then it automatically fails.
Yep, I don't agree with that either. I think that's stupid. But it's just that's the rules of the UN.
What the fuck?
But let's talk about NATO. What's the situation with NATO? You say You say countries are finally paying their um their dues.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the proof on that?
I think it was like no. It was the General Assembly. It was I think it was Donald Tusk. I think he came out and basically said, like all of us are gonna come out, or all of us are gonna pay our. No, Donald Tusk is the EU. That's the EU. I forgot his name, but he basically came out and said like we're gonna pay our dues. All the countries that don't do it, we're gonna go ahead and do it.
So, uh, Do you think the U.S. should withdraw from NATO?
Do I think we should? No. Because NATO has actually done stuff. NATO has actually intervened in other conflicts and stuff like that whenever there was actually NATO has actually intervened in countries where either one of its members was attacked, which again, yeah, like you're right, it was in after the September 11th attacks, Article 5 was ratified by all member countries. And then the other thing was the Yugoslav wars.
Here's the thing about NATO. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Europe, EU, Europe, about the next 10, 15 years, they won't need NATO anymore.
Probably not. Why?
Because what their plan, because I've seen the video, what they could do is they could just all unite, combine their militaries, and just they fight under one flag.
Oh, God.
UNATCO?
Huh?
Turkey needs to be put in check if they want to remain in NATO. That's what Jay Moose says.
That the UN should have a united army, and that's literally the plot of those acts.
I want to look. I don't want to look, man. I'm not going. Our soldiers ain't gonna take off that American flag that's on their uniform and put some old bull crap on it. We ain't finna do that. There's only one flag this military fight on. That's the United States of America. You got it?
I got it, Dad.
But it's a shame how we got all these.
Changing the subject, I'm not sure if I talked this with you, PG, but would you be up to play D&D via Roll20?
Are you talking about Dungeons and Dragons?
Yep. You ever played it?
No.
You would probably like it. It's actually very fun.
Alright, I'll probably think about that. I'm actually getting ready to sign off now. But I also like how I named the title of my stream. It was Brazilian elections, 2018 elections, and then U.S. policy. I like how we kind of transitioned into U.S. policy by accident.
Talk about Macron?
Nah, I'm actually going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to, because I actually have work tomorrow, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But, thank both of y'all for actually joining in this live stream. We can actually do it more. Backstar, I would actually, me and Backstar, huh?
We should do a Hearts of Fire on multiplayer live stream.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'll crush both of you.
I actually, me and Backstar debate a lot, so I actually would love to debate you, Backstar, on one of my live streams. So if you're actually down for that, then I would love to do that.
What are the topics, the possible topics?
We would have to plan that out, but because I really want to start debating a lot of my followers and subscribers and stuff like that. So I could do you first, and then I could probably do one of my patrons, which is the Ant, and then someone else maybe. So, I'm actually gonna go ahead and head out. So I'll see you guys later, and thank you both of y'all for joining in on this live stream, and thank you both for talking and contributing to the stream and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and see you guys later.
See you.
Alright, but guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you guys so much for watching this very, very successful stream. I really enjoyed actually having a conversation with them and talking with them about a lot of big things that are going on in the world today, such as the Brazilian elections, the 2018 midterms, and then obviously U.S. political strategy and policy on the world. So guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. I'll make sure to bring it to you guys first if I do get any more news from Eversim. I probably might get something from them in the next maybe half month, maybe a month at the most. So maybe sometime this month, I will actually get something before the midterms. So I will bring you guys that news as soon as I get it. So guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.